Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yanni.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right, welcome to episode 166 of CPG Vibes. Hope everyone is doing well on this fine Friday. This is our expert series, volume 12. I think we'll be at volume 50 or 100 before we know it, Wade. It's going fast. It's like a blur. And this expert series is really about founders running CPG brands. We've done a couple of these now, and we'll be bringing on, in no particular order, in about 5 or 10 minutes, Yanni Hufnagel, the founder of Lemon Perfect Company, and also Matt Mclean, the founder of Uncle Matt's Organic. So before going to our guests, we have a bunch of things to announce. But before doing any of that, Wade, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing good, Alex. I'm doing good. I don't know how we keep up with all these different volumes and stuff. I think
I don't know.
I'm just good with 166. That's as long as I've got that number figured out, we're good. But I'm excited about this show and talking to these two fellas. I know Yanni's been on the show before. I probably should look back to see what episode that was, but it was. I'll figure it out. I'll find it. Yeah, it's great to be here. Excited for this week and ready to roll.
Definitely. It was episode 43. I just Googled it.
Which means it was 2 years ago.
At least 2 years ago. Yeah, it was. I'm clicking on it. It was posted on November 21st, 2022, almost 3 years ago, believe it or not. Episode 43, special guest Yanni of Lemon Perfect. And by the way, folks, he hasn't changed. Just letting you know, it's been 2.5 years. Still has the same crazy hair, same great personality, same energy, same great product. So he's very consistent in who he is. So, which is a good thing in this business. You got to be consistent. And I got to say, too, that I got a little something in the mail here. Check it out. Got the Mark's hat for Mark's Snacks. And we're working together on his WeFunder page, his crowdfunding page, which will be launching soon. I can't say any dates. I can't be too specific. I'm going to be very vague about it, but he'll be launching that to raise some capital for his new venture. And I got to say the hat's comfortable and the hat looks good. I'm glad his face isn't on here. I was good with just Mark's plain.
Very cool.
So thank you, Mark Samuel. Shout out to him and Mark Snacks for sending us the hat. And hopefully one will get to you soon as well, Wade. Are you a hat guy?
Sometimes, yeah, especially when the sun comes out.
Yeah, you definitely need to. There's no hair to protect your head, so you need something to protect it, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly right.
I'm in the same boat myself. It may look like I have hair from the front, but if you look at any other side of me, there's no hair. So we're becoming the bald brothers here on this podcast. So some this quick announcements and laundry list items. We're the #1 rated CPG podcast in the world. Make sure to keep us that way. Give us 5 stars. Go to Apple Podcasts. Go to Spotify. And we're in a battle right now to stay #1. So please, please, please go to your iPhone, click on Apple Podcasts, click on CPG Vibes, scroll down, 5 stars, done. And we also have sponsorship and block rates. You can email us, cpgvibes100@gmail.com for that. We have our backwall sponsors. So thank you so much to, in no particular order, we have Dream Makers. And I don't know if you're on the emails with Jeff Church, Wade, at all, or see those coming?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, he has a new accelerator, which is happening, I believe, in the fall. And he has a lot of people that are guest speakers and just, masterclass type thing. Mark Rampolla, I'll be there. Max Bauman. There's like 15 people, 20 people that are part of this whole masterclass webinar. And that's part of Dream Makers with Jeff Church. Make sure to Google Jeff Church, Dream Makers, and you can check it out. And then we have also Feel Free, the Kava Kratom shot. And I think maybe Yanni took a bottle of this. So we'll see. He has a lot of energy. I think he has natural energy, though. He doesn't need to take energy drinks. And then we have Melting Forest as well, which is a mushroom energy and also mushroom de-stress. So that is that. And then just some other, we like to share some big news that lands on the news wire for the show. So we have Chobani bought Daily Harvest.
I saw that.
Yeah, just got announced. It will acquire 10-year-old vegan brand Daily Harvest for an undisclosed sum. When it's undisclosed, usually I don't know how good the exit is, to be honest. Maybe it was, who knows? I don't want to speculate. There's a lot of kind of vertical integrations going on in this business, or companies running out of capital, or, needing to just get acquired in order to continue growing, because it's hard to find capital and everything's expensive right now to run a business. But nevertheless, congratulations to Daily Harvest. That sounded kind of like me being an asshole. Just me being honest, that it's hard. This is a hard time right now in CPG, and it's even harder to get money. So, but Daily Harvest got acquired by Chobani. Any other big news on your side?
I don't think so. It's just just a
normal week, which is good. And well, the other thing too, I know we may have talked about it briefly last week, but there's also a pause in the tariffs as well with China. And so that's been hitting LinkedIn with a lot of brands that manufacture or source ingredients from China. And so there's a 90-day pause on the big tariff, the 145%, I believe, between China and the United States. And then China also imposed a tariff over 100% to the U.S. during the tariff wars. And now both of those have been temporarily put on pause. And I'm trying to remember what the tariff is. I believe it's 30%, I believe, with China. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere around there, if we source from China and bring it into the U.S. So, but needless to say, definitely a good reprieve for some of these brands sourcing internationally. So that's the other big news. Okay, well, without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and leave more time and room for our guests. So let's bring them on. So we have the founder of Lemon Perfect Company, Yanni Hufnagel, and also the founder of Uncle Matt's Organic, and that is Matt Mclean. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Welcome, fellas.
We're doing great. Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. I was telling these guys that before we went live that their personalities are so similar. It's almost like they're the same person. You can't tell who's who in this interview. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start on the clockwise. So we're gonna start with Yanni. A little tradition on the show. You can introduce yourself and then tell us one thing about yourself. And this is new. We didn't do this on episode 43, so we're putting you on the spot here. One thing about yourself that very few people know about you. So we'll start with Yanni, and then we'll go to Matt.
Well, that's awesome. And it's always an honor being with you, Alex. You know how big of a fan I am of you and of Genius Juice. And yep. I didn't realize when I got the invitation that I'd be with Matt. So this is a cool moment for me. I'm a huge fan of his brand. But I'm the founder and executive chairman of Lemon Perfect flavored lemon water. Delicious and refreshing, 10 calories and 0 sugar in every bottle, half a squeezed organic lemon, 100% daily value vitamin C. And we're really excited about what we're building. Something that I don't think many people know is we had some incredible challenges with product last year, oxidized bottles. I was in a really dark place, and I woke up in early January. I was almost 220 pounds, and I knew that we were producing our new bottles that would be without the issues of last year. And I said, I have to do something about it. And buoyed by drinking several of our new bottles every day, I've lost over 20 pounds now in 3 months. So and we're back on the journey, a true journey of health and wellness.
Awesome. And then one thing about yourself personally that is that the one what you wanted to share?
That's the one.
That's the one. That's the one. Okay, perfect.
I think everyone knows, Alex. I mean, the big one is I coached college basketball for 10 years before I went and did this crazy journey, but that's well documented.
Gotcha, for sure. All right, Matt, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me on, and thank you for the nice words, Yanni. A lot of respect for what you've accomplished at Living Perfect. It's been a great, fun ride to watch what you've done, which is awesome. And Wade, you were a customer of mine for a while at Harmon's. Thank you for bringing us in at Harmon's and all the business you gave us and the opportunity there. Uncle Matt's, I'm joining you from Western North Carolina. I'm typically in Orlando, Florida, but I'm up here at Elk and Ember, little cheap plug for the place that my wife and I are partners in. I may not have the best internet, so if I go in and out, I apologize. I'm actually on my iPhone because my laptop has crashed on me. So this may not be starting off quite so well. But anyway, Uncle Matt's, we're America's #1 selling organic orange juice. We're sold nationwide. Started it in June of 1999 with just one little item, pulp-free orange juice. Today, you can find us from Hawaii to Alaska to Puerto Rico to Maine. We don't just do orange juice anymore. We lemonades, punches, and also teas. And just really appreciate being on today and being part of this discussion. Hopefully, we can help some entrepreneurs out there avoid the pitfalls or at least celebrate the victories together.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about me, let's see, I love to wake surf. They're in Lake County, in Claremont. So come see us. We'll do some wake surfing together.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing. I wanted to go back to, and this is going to be a first question for Yanni, and then Matt, we can follow up with you on the same question. But you mentioned a couple minutes ago, Yanni, about this manufacturing challenge and the bottles, something wasn't right, the oxidation, maybe spoilage. I've been through that myself, as you probably know, with Genius Juice many, many, many times in my 10-year career running Genius Juice. What is your advice for entrepreneurs that have gone through something, just a major interruption, a major disruption that really throws you off your game? And how did you recover from that and recenter and stay focused on your business?
Well, look, you have to have great belief that you're going to come out the other side. I think is probably the first and most important, thing is just having an unwavering belief that through the darkness will come light. And, Alex, for me, I had several days where it was hard to get out of bed. You work so hard. It was year 6 for us on this journey. As you know, the brand for the first 5 years had explosive growth. I mean, from 0 to almost $100 million in retail sales in 5 years. And then, you wake up, you think you've got, we transitioned from contract manufacturers, and the line that was being built for us continued to get delayed, and we had to run on an interim make site or go home. And we knew that we would have challenges at that interim make site because of just the lack of certain technological things that we needed to produce a great product. And what I didn't know was how important at the time erythritol was to masking some of the oxidation that we probably had in our old 12-ounce bottles. We took erythritol out of the product when there was all the negative press that came out in February of 2023. And we did it at the same time as we transitioned to our 15.2-ounce bottle. And so, that became something that we discovered, down the road. But, Alex, to answer your original question, I mean, this is your life's work. And until they put your coffin in the ground and hammer it and put dirt on you, you still have a little bit of breathing, to do. And, that's the thing with us and with Lemon Perfect is we just refuse to lose. We just refuse to lose. We've raised too much money. We've got too many stakeholders that are really invested in this thing, whether it's our investors, our distributors, our retail partners, our team. And we're not going to go home until we find a way to the winner's circle. So, a lot of people, I think, in the industry looked at our data last year and probably felt like, that might be it for Lemon Perfect. Well, here we are in April, best month in company history, and May is going to top that. So we have fought our way back from the darkness.
I love that.
It's a great share. That's a great share. Go ahead, Wade.
I was going to say, I've got a question. I'm going to ask, I have a specific question for Matt, but then I'm going to ask my question for Matt, and then I've got a question from Gavin that I want to ask both of you. So I'm going to ask my question first. I'm going to say Gavin's question, but then I'll say mine. So we'll go to both of you. And the question is what was your overarching goal in year one when you started your brands? Was it door count, established retailers, traction? If any of those or other, how did you measure it? So we'll come back to that for both of you. But first, Matt, I want to talk a little bit about, I'm familiar with your story, but entering the category when you did, I want to talk a little bit about the landscape of the category when you entered it, because you came in with this premium product, right? That, correct me, and I need you to correct me if I'm wrong here, but really, that was it, right? There wasn't a premium option. And I want to talk a little bit about the challenges of presenting that into, you're kind of diving in a pool that doesn't have any water because there's nothing out there. So talk a little bit about that and your mindset going into it before we hit Gavin's question.
Yeah, great thing. Great question. We had, we started in June of 99. The USDA organic seal didn't come out until 2002.
Wow.
So I'm aging myself. I used to be the young guy in the room, and now I'm the veteran, the older veteran. But yeah, so that kind of tells you that much. When I looked at start formats, it was around 96, 97. I didn't have any competition. There wasn't anybody else in the organic OJ space. But by the time I got the nerve and figured out how to do it, there were a couple of competitors, and they were formidable competitors. We had Horizon Organic. They came out with an orange juice, so they rapidly expanded into all the spaces that I could have got into. And then Beverage Organic, which was big in produce. So they took, between produce and dairy, they had a lot of the space. But I was too young and dumb and just said, hey, I'm going to do this. And I just felt it was the passion I had. It was, as a fourth generation Florida citrus grower, what I'm supposed to do in life. Start an organic orange brand. And we started, one little company or one retailer at a time. We went to Goodings over in Orlando, about 13 stores. They were upscale. We went to Chamberlain's, which was a health food store. They had probably 12 chains also stores. Then we got into produce. Signed on with Albert's Organics. That gave me enough momentum and enough retailers. So when I ran my run, and it's perishable, 600 cases, I had to get through that 600 cases in about 3 weeks because it was a fast turn. It still is today. I wish Yanni could go back and tell my younger self, hey, don't start something like a year shelf life. Give yourself a little bit more time. But at the same time, my granddad would always say, if it's easy, everybody would do it. So when it was really hard day after day after day, I thought, well, at least the reward is there's not a lot of people that are going to want to do this because it's a hard business. It's a tough business. If I can figure it out and stick it out, I'll have a really good, nice company moat, a competitive advantage. And, after 25 years, I can say we have a better advantage, but still every day trying to learn tricks and get more efficient.
So looking at that goal for year one, what was your goal year one? Was it doors? Was it, what did you set out to do that first year?
That very first year was literally just be able to make it from run to run without throwing any product away. Sell that 600 cases within 21 days. And the first run, I barely made it. Then every run after that, it just started to fall into place. So, I eventually signed on Sunbelt, one of the old original OG brokers, whole East Coast for
Okay.
That's what really got me out there. Yeah. So that was in the beginning. Bootstrap with own money. I didn't raise a bunch. I wasn't even in that whole stratosphere. So that's how.
Yanni, how about you? Year one, what were your goals?
Oh man, Matt, what is your shelf life today? You on your items?
7 days from date of production. It's got to be kept 32 to 38 degrees.
Wow. Well, that's part of our story because we started as a perishable item. That and Alex, Wade, I think you probably remember that. We got out of that as fast as we could. But in our first year, we were a perishable item, and for me, it was data story in a very concentrated number of stores. So I moved to Southern California to launch Lemon Perfect because I felt like it was ground zero for brands in the natural channel. We had a relationship and still do today with Critical Mass Group, Dan Morad and Robert Alschuler, Dan on the sales side and Robert on the supply chain side. And, the strategy for them was help incubate brands in Southern California and really force the action. And, philosophically, it was let's be a mile deep and an inch wide. So our first opportunity was at Bristol Farms, 12 stores at the time. And I think we demoed in every single store every day for 3 months straight. And, and then we used that data probably 30 days in. And then we got Lazy Acres, which was 5 stores. And we did the same thing there. And then we got Erewhon, which, at the time, for me, that was like the biggest deal in the world. And I think we actually demoed twice a day in Erewhon for like 3 months straight in all 5 of their stores at the time. And then we used that data and we got Whole Foods in the Southern Pacific region, right? And that's what we did. It's not incredibly sexy because you're not just going everywhere and you can't jump up and down and say you're in Target or Walmart on day one or, Whole Foods Global or whatever, or Sprouts, or the Fresh Market, Wade. But we were very, very methodical and we learned about our consumer, and we built an incredible product market fit story. We did raise capital to allow us to go do these demos, right? We raised $1.2 million before we had sold 1 bottle. And so that helped fuel this thing. And then we were able to use that data and go raise money from beyond just my friends and family that helped fuel this thing from the start.
Exactly. And it's interesting. I always want to go back to also one thing that was said before. There's a comment saying 7 days shelf life. It's 7D, right? 7D because it got cut out.
77. I'm sorry.
77. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we got the right data there. And so, Yanni was just talking about, right, just proving it out, market validation, getting it in stores, getting people to see it, buy it, raising some capital. Then earlier he talked about the challenges, right, last year. And I think a lot of people resonate with that he's been getting through the challenges, rising above, and coming out the other side, right, and having the strongest month, right, and the company's history from what you said in April, right, which is a huge congrats to you and your team for executing on that and recovering from the challenges last year. So Matt, with all that said, was there a bet the company moment for Uncle Matt's? Was there a time where, you were like, I can't even get out of bed. Something happened and our company may end tomorrow. And this is really devastating. And then you came back from that and persevered. Was there ever a moment like that? Or was it just steady Eddie for 25 years and growing?
I would be completely lying to you as an entrepreneur. One, also, we're tied to agriculture. So first part of Uncle Matt's from 1999 till sold the company to Dean Foods in 2017, bought it back in 2020 after Dean Foods. But in that first iteration, we call it Uncle Matt's 1.0, we also had fresh fruit. We were the largest fresh fruit organic citrus shipper on the East Coast. And so we had that to help buoy the orange juice business. We took the number 2s and the uglies and it made juice for us. And it was a nice fit. The agriculture side, though, is really tough, right? If you want to grow it all yourself, up until 2015, we supplied all of Uncle Matt's juice from what my dad and brother and the 35 different growers that we converted to organic, what they supplied us. And so we put farm plans together. We went out and actually did all of the caretaking of the grows. We got them certified, harvested. And we had a lot of those moments, right? Of like, ooh, is this going to work? But we had a good plan and we had a great team. So it's just natural part of the progression of business. You're going to deal with Mother Nature from our standpoint. Right now, we have citrus greening disease, which is a big problem. Citrus greening disease has devastated in Florida. We have hurricanes, you have droughts, those. So I guess I'm kind of immune to it. I wouldn't say I'm completely immune to it, but it's business risk, and those things also, with those risks and devastations come problems with cash flow. I mean, you get to a point where, wow, all of a sudden my commodity price has doubled. Like, I can't raise my price that fast out in the marketplace, and consumers wouldn't even pay it if I could. So you make some executive decisions of, okay, this is not going to be a fun year. How much money can we lose so we can just get through it and get to the next season? So there's plenty of those times. And Yanni, my heart goes out to you, buddy. I have been there, went through tough times.
And I have a follow-up question for you, and then I'll go to Yanni, because I'm curious about there was a comment when we posted this event saying, comparing oranges to lemons, right? So, which I thought was clever from Chuck Asano. I didn't even think of that, and I'm pretty damn smart. I should have made that joke, but he took it from me. So, with oranges, I've heard, not only hurricane, all these different things, also frozen, when they would become too frozen because it was too cold during a part of the year. If there was not enough bioavailability for oranges to fill your orders, what did you do? Did you just say we're shorting the POs? Did you tell the retailers we can't ship until a certain time? Like, how do you navigate when you have a single source product like that from a specific region of the country?
Yeah, so luckily we never had to do where we literally had to stop producing. It would ration people. I mean, hey, we're going to have to give you only 20% of your orders if we had a natural disaster, right? A flood, a hurricane, a drought, a freeze. We've done that over the 25 years. We've probably done that 3 or 4 times. Since then, we have diversified a lot, our supply base. Like I said before, we used to be all Florida. And after citrus greening disease came and changed that for the Florida industry, we now get it from Texas, California, Mexico, even Peru, Morocco. So I have enough diversity in our grower base that we.
Is there a change in the taste or anything when you're sourcing from different areas, or is it pretty much, are you blending them together? Or you don't have to tell us everything, but I'm just curious because I work with coconut, which is single source, and it would seasonally change. So is there a change in acidity and taste and smell? Like, tell us more about the seasonality of your product.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will go some with the seasons. You'll have different acid ratios and different flavor profiles to some extent in one of those regions. I would just say, because of my experience, I'm able to say, hey, this is what we want. We want this Brix acid ratio. We want this oil level. We want these varieties, because I know it's going to taste consistently the same, consistently great is our mantra. But it can be difficult when you have your main supply source and it becomes devastated by greening disease, whatnot. You have to pivot. And in the beginning, I was the proudest Florida 4th-generation citrus grower, and I had it plastered all over my marketing, my cartons. And I had to wake up one day and look myself in the mirror and go, I got to put product of USA and Mexico on my carton. Like, what? Like, I can't. How do I'm like a fourth generation Florida guy. So that was really tough for me. But the consumers, if you tell them the story, if you're honest and you're authentic with them on, hey, this is why we're doing this, they consistently great tasting, they pivoted and went with us. And so they have continued to follow us on our journey as we try and overcome the greening piece in Florida and continue to get good quality product.
Yeah. And I'm going to pivot to Yanni in just a minute, but I'd be remiss not to mention just all the journey that I had with Genius Juice, right? And I think it really relates to what you're going through and what you went through in the past with single source. Now, one thing I learned is that most customers do not notice what we notice as the founders, right? When you're trying the product after a run, you're like, that's a little different from the last run. We're more heady and neurotic about our product, right? Because we're founders. And so you're going to notice things that other customers may never notice. But then there are the diehards customers that are going to notice every detail, every change you make with texture or acidity or whatever. And so with Genius Juice, I mean, I could talk for 20 minutes about this, but then it wouldn't be a guest type show, right? It would just be me talking, which is not fair to you guys. But I will say that coconut is, and Yanni, I think you know this being a coconut fan, is one of the most fickle, difficult crops in the world to deal with. And then you talk about Thailand, which is one of the furthest regions from where we're sourcing, right? So it takes a long time to get here. And then you talk about, you know, typhoons and hurricanes and weather changes and what's going on globally. And, you know, you would have a coconut they'd have to harvest at a certain time in its ripe stage, of its growth stage, to have the right texture of the meat and also the right Brix level and sweetness of the water. And it was incredibly difficult to do that. And you have to lean into the farmers, right, that own all these small farms out in Thailand, to say, like, you need to source it at this Brix, at this texture. And for those that don't know, we blended the coconut water and the coconut meat. And so that even became more difficult. It wasn't just the coconut water and the Brix, but now you're talking about the sweetness of the meat, the texture of the meat, the thickness of the meat. And as a coconut grows and matures and goes from young to an old coconut, the meat grows thicker. And if it gets too thick, it's not going to be the same texture of the smoothie. And there's also 5 months where it's low season in Thailand. So the cost of the coconut goes up. And we've all, no stranger to this, you know, if you're sourcing a single source item, that 4 or 5 months out of the year was from, I think, and it changes every year, but from February to like August, even more, like 5 months, the cost of the coconut doubles or triples. So now you're ordering everything ahead of time when the coconuts are growing more plentifully, there's more rain, the cost is lower, and then the product is more consistent. But to order up ahead of time, you're dropping so much money for cash flow, and it's all tied up in coconuts that may take 3 to 4 months to get here frozen, right? Because we extracted them, froze the meat, froze the water, and then brought it over here. So long story short, it's a pain in the ass for single source, but then that's what makes the magic. That's what makes the product so good, is that it's fresh and it's like a real crop that goes right into the bottle. So thanks for listening to my long diatribe about sourcing. So Yanni, I know with your product, I know that you're sourcing lemons. Okay. I know that much. I know there's a certain process, you're extracting them. Have you ever had any challenges with bioavailability? Do you source from multiple regions? Whatever you want to share. I'm very curious. We're curious about the supply chain of lemons.
Fortunately not. And the one thing I'll lead with is I think lemons. Matt, I don't have great insight into the cost of oranges. I think lemons are less expensive, so that's a good thing. But our lemons come from Mexico, Spain, California, and Arizona. Those are our 4 sources of lemon juice right now. We contract big volumes, and our lemon juice comes in frozen. So that certainly helps. That ultimately helps deliver a consistent source to us. I had, when this thing first started, actually on the side of our bottle, it said from California grown organic lemons. And then quickly we put too much of a strain on that supply chain. So we had to go and look for alternative sources. But we spend a lot of time, tasting the versions of the juice. There's some blending that occurs. We do look at Brix and pH often to try to deliver the most consistent end product that we can. But unlike Matt and his products, and Alex, unlike you with your products, we are the beneficiary of natural flavors and non-nutritive sweeteners that ultimately certainly help, I guess the right word is mask any deep varieties in the lemon. Even in our original product, it's organic lemon juice, but we also use natural flavors that help deliver the delicious and refreshing profile that our customers crave.
Yeah. And one thing, I learned about natural flavors with fruit, a lot of fruit juices, and I put obviously lemon in that category, right? It's a fruit juice that when you have a longer shelf life and you're shelf stable, the citrus and correct me if I'm wrong, but it fades when it's a longer shelf life. It just fades because it's a fruit, and you put it in the bottle. At some point, sunlight hits it. At some point, goes out of refrigeration back in, whatever it is, different climates, it's going to fade. The flavor is going to fade. And so natural flavors keeps that stronger taste for a longer time because your shelf life is at least a year, right? For
365.
365.
Yeah,
so there you go.
We get some flavor degradation around 6 months, but the product is coded out to 365.
Right, which makes sense from a distribution standpoint, shelf stable standpoint, and all that good stuff. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I was going to say it does. I was going to go back real quick, Yanni, because we got a lot of comments coming in, some questions. But one of the questions was from Hank Watt from Nature's Wildberry as it pertains to talking about those demos you were talking about twice a day here, every week, and so on and so forth. And his question was, what were some of the takeaways from doing so much demoing?
Well, we force the action, right? If we don't do the demos, we don't get the scans. So, look, I think demos in today's environment might not be the if you have broad coverage, right now we're in 30,000 doors, picking where to demo in store is challenging. We're beneficiaries now of what Instacart can do in terms of sampling, which is very, very powerful and high ROI. But, I believe that any beverage entrepreneur, any food and beverage entrepreneur should start in a very concentrated area and make sure that you have something that consumers want, right? That there's product market fit. And what an opportunity it was too for us to learn about what people were saying. Oh my God, I love this. Oh my God, it's too sweet. Oh my God, how do you do this with zero sugar? Right? Oh my God, I like this flavor, but I don't like that flavor. And you just, when you're so close to it, you really learn about your product. When you're in, when you're ready to sell your first bottle or bar or box or whatever, whatever it is, you think you've got the greatest item in the world. Let's just call it what it is, right? You are delusional as an entrepreneur and a founder about how good your item is or items. And only when you enter the world of retail do you start to figure out just what you've got, right? I wasn't going to just let the bottle sit in the cooler and wait. I was going to force the action and not everyone loved Lemon Perfect at the start, but man, did enough people. We had days where we demoed and, we'd sell 100 bottles at a demo, and then another 100 bottles over the course of the day. And, you're looking up and you've got like better data than, at the time, like GT's kombucha, and it's like, here's this little brand, but, you don't have to disclose how many times you're demoing when you're presenting your data to Whole Foods, right? So it was a little bit of a cheat code. And we really believed that was the best investment that we could make. We didn't do anything on social media. We didn't chase. We promoted. We were 249 every day, and we promoted 2 for $4. But we didn't, and a little 3 for $5. But we didn't promote that aggressively, or that often. We just, but we could also only live in one spot. We couldn't build any incrementality underneath the roof of the retailer, which is what I wanted to do. And that's why we went shelf stable.
Yep. Makes sense. And, to pivot, there's a really funny story, and then I'm going to go over to Matt and ask him about innovation. But I, one of your formulators from the past, Yanni, is a good friend of mine, and I'm not going to say her name, but you probably know who it is, in Southern California, that worked on, I think, an earlier version of Lemon Perfect from a few years back. And I think when you were trying to looking to go shelf stable, and she said it was the most energy packed R&D session she's ever had. And you were there with your team, and she was describing how you were walking up and down the aisles of this R&D lab, motivating the people making the product, saying, let's make it the best version that it could be, Yeah. So I heard the stories, and I'm like, yeah, there's no surprise coming from a guy that was a coach, and you're motivating your team every day to go out there and execute. So I thought that was a funny story that I heard about.
I appreciate that, Alex. I don't think that there's a place that I enjoy going more than our flavor lab. And I'll plug Ocean Blue Innovation.
Yep,
and
that's them. That's them. Yep.
Alex, your bottles are still in there.
Yep.
They're absolutely fantastic. I mean, fantastic. For anyone listening, I do believe that an independent flavor lab is a really good approach, because they can go get flavors from many different houses, and they're not married to any one, and it gives you a much broader opportunity, I think, to nail your formulation.
100%. One other thing too that I'm sure you liked about working with Ocean Blue, and we worked with Ocean Blue, as you just mentioned, the bottles are up there on their shelf as a kind of a legacy thing, is that when they do all these versions for you, they line it up and they give it to you right away for you and your team to try. So they're there making it. They give it to you, you drink it, your team drinks it, you provide feedback on this or that or tweak this, and they come back 20 minutes later with the next version. So the back and forth is really fast. And we pumped out 3 flavors of Genius Juice within like 2 lab sessions there, which saves money and saves time. I don't like it when formulators mail it to you, in a UPS or something. Then you have to try it, and then you call them, hey, can you do this? So, can you fix this? And they send another UPS package. It costs money. It takes way too much time. So make sure, get a formulator where they do it live right in front of you, and you get instant revisions. So great share, Yanni. And
Ocean Matt, it was cinnamon, right? I think that with the red label, was it cinnamon or cinnamon vanilla? What was the flavor?
Yeah, that was the vanilla cinnamon horchata. That was the red one. And then they also made unbelievable. And it's just 3 ingredients or 4 ingredients. The one that I like the most, and Matt, thanks for being patient, is the mocha.
That was unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's
unbelievable. Was that 3 ingredients? I think that was 3 ingredients. Cocoa.
Yep.
Coconut water, coconut meat. It was just 3 ingredients, right?
Yep. And coffee extract.
That
was it. We did add a little Himalayan pink salt to make that chocolate pop. That was my favorite. That is, to this day, my favorite beverage of all time beyond water is the Mocha Genius Smoothie. Can you tell I really want to bring this thing back? But
I'm not, listen, and this is not a slight against Matt's Organic or against Lemon Perfect. Alex, I'm not sure that item was not the greatest beverage item of all time. Now, listen, there was caloric and there was sugar content. I understand that.
Yep.
Just give me that. Let me, when I die, that'll be the second to last thing that I drink, and then I'll finish it off with an original Lemon Perfect, and that'll be it for me.
Well, lucky for you, I have a couple frozen bottles of Genius, so I know who to share with, right?
Well, I don't want to go off the rails here, but
yeah,
Alex, as you know, whenever your journey ended in that kind of chapter, I said when we sell Lemon Perfect, one of the first things I'm going to do is go back and buy that trademark and bring this thing back to life. So I'm hopeful we can get there.
Yeah, and I encourage you to do it, man. I want to see it live on for sure. So thanks for the kind words. So Matt, innovation, right? We're talking about lab stuff, R&D. I know that you're heavily have your flag planted in orange juice. Yep. What has been your strategy on innovation and diversifying beyond orange juice? And then how much you're depending really on the orange juice sales, but how much are you really focusing on innovation in other areas, and how has that gone for your company?
So first off, we look at our category and say, what else can we do within that refrigerated space that's in multi-serve? So it was really simple for lemonades, punches, and now there's refrigerated tea that's in that refrigerated juice set. So it made sense for us if we thought we could have permission by our customer, like, hey, can we do an organic version of fill in the blank? And then do we think we can be consistently great with it? So we've got a product we can put out, people are going to love it, and every week that we run it, it's going to taste the same. It's going to have that same great promise when they open that bottle. And so that's really what we look at. We do quite a bit of just feedback on social media. We get quite a bit of feedback from consumers just saying, hey, have you thought about this? I'd really like to try that. And I got a whole boneyard of things that didn't work. I don't know. Yanni doesn't know this, but I actually had lemon water. I had a lemon water, water, orange water, grapefruit water. I'll have to show you the bottles. So I was. Oh
no, Matt! I know you presented it at Expo West one year, didn't you?
It was way before its time, Yanni. So I'm glad you took it and ran with it. It's in a boneyard in the back of my office somewhere.
Matt, didn't you present it at Expo West one year, or am I losing my mind?
We did. We sold it for a year. We had lemon water, grapefruit water, and orange water, and it was cold pressed lemon juice, cold pressed grapefruit, and orange, and they were about 5 to 10% juice. They had a probiotic in it. We were one of the first.
That's right.
It was HPP'd. And then we put a little bit of zest. So we had some prebiotic gut health from lemon zest and citrus zest in there. So it was way before its time. I never forget. I had a buyer sit there and he looked at it. He tried. He said, "Who's gonna buy that? Like, there's hard lemon juice in it. Like, I could just squeeze a lemon in water." And I kind of smiled. I was like, "Well, don't you have a whole aisle of just water that you sell?" He was like, "Well, good point, but we're not ready for this product anyway." So good for you, Yanni. You take some stuff and you recreate it, and it tastes great, and off it goes. But from innovation, that's really what we look at, is kind of what can we do in our space. We have done some other things in aseptic for juice boxes. It makes sense for our fruit juice. So we did some no sugar added lemonade and fruit punch, and they're doing very well in those juice boxes. We've played around with shots. I even had a kombucha line at one time. It was made from green tea, so it didn't have that same bitterness. I thought it was the best tasting kombucha in the world, but I was the only one that drank it. So that's in the boneyard too. I guess at the end of the day, you can't be afraid to take a risk. You just have to be calculated. You have to be calculated on the size of risk that you're willing to take, right? It can't be a cash suck for sure, and too much of a time suck, but it has to have, we have some metrics internally. Okay, we need $1 million items. We're not just going to throw some darts and hope that they're like these little couple 100,000, and nothing against those, but how do we get $1 million items in the beginning that then can grow to $5, $10 million items? And so do we think that what we're producing is a really niche small item, or something that can be broad enough that we can take it in, 15, 20,000 stores? So those are some of the metrics. And our innovation team is myself and wife. We have some from sales, some from social, our marketing team on there. And then we kind of get together as a group and meet monthly and just talk about where do we think we can go and what is the consumer and customer asking for.
I think it's really important to have people, different visionaries on your team, from different aspects, whether you're talking about sales or marketing, obviously your role, it makes a lot of sense to have someone from different facets. So you're getting multiple opinions. I always use the analogy that no one likes being told that their kid's ugly. But in some cases, being told up front that your kid's ugly is probably going to save you some heartbreak down the road. But I know we're getting close on time here, and I wanted to throw one question to both of you before we go, relative to current market, current state. We're talking about huge brands here, and our audience covers big brands, small brands, everywhere in between. What's the biggest challenge today now as we talk on May 16th, 2025? The biggest challenge in your business as it stands today? And I'll start with you, Matt.
See, Matt, can you hear us? Oh, he's on mute. Hold on. Okay, well, let's go to Yanni, and we'll come back to Matt.
Okay.
So, question for you, Yanni. The biggest, he already answered that from what happened last year, but let's just say in current times this
Today
year.
now. Yep.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge for you?
Look, I think, I'll I always talk about the scoreboard being, as important as anything here at Lemon Perfect, right? I mean, there are two ways that you die in CPG, right? One is you run out of cash. Two is you don't grow. That's it. And look, we're 100 million in retail sales. 50 million of our revenue. So we're in rare air. Now the challenge is, how do you double it? How do you triple it? Right. And we need to do that over the next couple of years here. We have to take another big step forward. We have to put the challenges of last year behind us, and we got to get back to getting after this thing. Now we're very fortunate that when we look up at or are looking at the data of the last 8, 9, 10 weeks, I mean, this thing is honestly, it's a rocket ship right now. So, we're excited that I don't think we realize just how transformative the new formula, new packaging could be for Lemon Perfect. But look, what about, 2% of beverage brands get to 10 million in revenue. And then out of that 2%, about 1 in 10 get to 50. So, you're talking about us being like 1 out of 10,000 right now, but to get to the winner's circle, you have to be like 1 out of 50,000, right? There's very few transactions in food and beverage of big scale. And we want to be one of those transactions. And if we do that, we'll have delivered Lemon Perfect to just about anywhere and everywhere. And I think have had a hell of an impact on the health and wellness of consumers here in America and beyond. And so, we're excited that we get to run down, a couple of roads. One is to deliver, return on capital for our investors. And 2 is to make people healthier by eliminating millions and millions of pounds of sugar from their diet. But the challenge for us is how do you go from 100 million in retail sales to 200 million over a couple of year period?
So Matt, that same question for you. I don't know, you cut out and had to jump back on. The biggest challenge today now in your business as you look ahead and moving forward.
Yeah, so we got into manufacturing now. We self-manufacture as of a couple of years ago. So, 23 years in, we were always in. And when we hit COVID, we wound up going from 1 co-man to 3. So we were sending it all around the world or all around the U.S., and that didn't make sense. So we took the risk, invested a good amount of money, and we're now centrally located just west of Dallas. Have our own facility, which is great, but it also comes with challenges. Now you have a whole nother part of your business. You add 55 more employees, you've got in there, and it's a different game, different, from efficiencies, yield, group that you're really watching overtime. They're different metrics before I didn't have to worry about in the middle of the night some boilers kind of having to do. Well, how do we get the change for tomorrow's? But at the same time, that challenge then turns into a great opportunity because we pivot and say, you know what, I think we could brew tea and be the first organic refrigerated serve tea out there. Job at it, being a craft brewer in juice, and I guarantee my coach has been no way. So those are the kind of things that make it. But I would say just big challenge for us, efficiently move forward and not self-manufacturing into. So far, we've taken some lumps in year 1, but year 2, we're really well. We great. So proud.
Hey, Matt. So you're cutting out quite a bit, so we're losing the message. But I got the gist of it. We got the gist of it for sure about the organic black tea, launching that, learning from that, going into year 2, going into manufacturing. Around COVID. One thing I want to point out, because we're at time right now, and we thank both you for joining this really special episode, is that we have on the left. Our left, looking at them, we have someone that's been in the business 25 years, right? Making and the biggest organic orange juice in the country, nationally distributed. Then on the right, we have a gentleman that has built a brand of 50 million and looking to scale it above 100. And they are still having challenges every single day. So for any entrepreneur that is looking at a brand that's doing tens of millions and thinking that life is peachy, life is easy, and they're set, it's anything but. Every day you're waking up to a fire that you have to put out. Every day there's challenges and you're worried and you're still kept up half the night sometimes when something happens with your business unexpectedly. So just know that you're not alone. No matter how big or small a business is, there's still tremendous challenges and growing pains in CPG because of the complexity of all. So hopefully, if you're a small brand starting a beverage, this helps you feel a little better that others, even far larger, are still going through challenges to get to where they need to go. I would like to also do the liberty of offering a prize, and we forgot to talk about that. So I don't know if not everyone jump in at once, but we usually offer a prize, a trivia. You offer some free product, a 6-pack or 12-pack. Either of you guys want to offer that for a winner?
Sure, I'll give you a pack of organic juice and swag.
I love that. I love that.
I heard juice and swag.
I'm entering this contest.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be a perfect contest to win from an uncle. So, all right. So let's so it's going to be in probably like a variety pack of Lemon Perfect. Let's call it a 6-pack or 12-pack.
12-pack variety pack is great.
Awesome. I want to be entered into this thing now too. And the last frozen genius juice, right? That could be part of the contest.
Don't give that up.
Yeah. Just kidding. So that's for Yanni. That's no one else. So we'll have 2 prizes. One is Uncle Matt's, the juice and swag. The other prize will be the Lemon Perfect 12-pack variety. The first 2 answers on the board, Family Feud style, will win it, and you can pick whichever one you want once you win it. So we'll do a trivia question here, and I have the question for those that were listening in carefully. What is the name of the lab that Lemon Perfect went with for R&D? What was the name of the lab that Yanni mentioned that they worked with for innovation? Damn it. Okay. And I just gave you a clue by mistake. First 2 answers on the board will win Uncle Matt's Organic, Juice and Swag, and a pack of Lemon Perfect. Thank you guys for donating that to the show. Okay, we got Derek Gould as the first. So if someone just types in what Derek Gould said, there it is. So Jeff. Derek got the first. Jeff, you got the second. Email cpgvibes100@gmail.com, and then you guys need to also type in which one you want. And just whoever grabs it first grabs it. Okay, well, thank you guys for being on, sharing the stories. This is great. We'll do another one for sure. Thanks for taking valuable time out of your day. And then Yanni, thanks for just the accolades on Genius. I really appreciate that, being a former founder. So thank you, brother. I
love the product. You ask our team, they know. So good stuff.
Yep. Awesome. And then Matt, thanks for sharing your story. Congrats on, doing the impossible, being in business for 25 years. You are the epitome of a long-lasting, standing the test of time entrepreneur with a great product. So congrats to you and your team on that.
Thank you very much. Sorry for internet access. I was traveling this week, calling in from the mountains of North Carolina. So sorry about the poor reception. But
no worries. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.
Okay, we'll see you guys. We'll see everyone next week. Same place, same time, Friday at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock Eastern. We have a Random Babble series, Volume 2, next week. So tune in for that. And everyone, take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks again, guys, for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Guys.